there. Yeah. All right.
Well,
Cool. We're
yeah,
good.
yeah, no, it like you always come on when you do like the launch. Like, are you sure you're ready? You're good. We're all good. It's like yeah, yeah, and you start going off. I'm like, okay, maybe we should wait. Do you want us to go on the air with this or not? Um,
I have zero stage fright when it comes to that. So I
yeah,
really,
I know,
I,
no,
I'm good. I'm good with it. I'm too busy showing my manly chest hair. Look at all
that's
that
right, that's
shit.
right,
Look
that's
at it.
right.
It's like
You're
a
showing
forest.
all the chest hair live.
Look how sexy that is. Jason Momoa, you're a bitch next to me. Bitch surfer, you bitch Aquaman slash surfer girl. Yeah, the Beach Boys made a song about you. You female. That's how it is. Yeah, I said it. I said it, Jason Momoa.
Okay, okay. Listen, I'm not exactly saying I'm scared of Jason Momoa, but I have met some Samoan people in my time. They do not seem like the kind of people you want to fight with.
Well, that's why I'm saying this shit across a pond. I'm not
Yeah,
messing
okay,
with you,
yeah,
stupid.
okay,
You know,
okay,
like,
okay.
wait,
Because
I just got a message from Jason Momoa. Ew, he just showed me his butt. Oh, God, it's disgusting, man. Come on, just.
sure, take a picture
Uh,
real quick. That's right.
yeah, I have a terrible hatred for Jason Momoa. He stole my girl,
Oh,
Lisa Bonet. We were dating for a while, but we weren't really dating. We were just hanging out watching Netflix, and I would bring the pizza usually. I was her best friend. And then, we hung out all the time, and she did all the stuff, telling me all her secrets and all her sorrows and all her pain. And then Jason Momoa shows up, and then a week later, they have 3 kids. And I'm like, Jason Momoa, you must die. I shall destroy him one day.
see, okay,
One day when he is appearing on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, who I despise even more. I will challenge Jason Momoa to a lightsaber fight, and he will lose. Yeah.
Jimmy Fallon.
Who else? That Conan O'Brien. Who else is even around anymore? Jesus,
Oh no,
not like James Corbin.
like looking at. I think the funniest talk show guy was the guy that was on the Drew Carey show. I can't even remember his
You
name.
mean Drew Carey?
No, he hosts The Price is Right, don't he?
Oh yeah, yes he does.
Yeah.
He does. Right.
The guy that plays his boss though is actually a really funny guy, and I can't
Oh,
remember
who's
his
his
name.
boss? Who plays his boss?
I can't remember his name, but he does a late night show. He's actually funny. Craig Ferguson, I think it is.
Craig Ferguson. Is he Scottish?
Yeah.
Oh, he flirts with all the female guests, and they're all
Damn
like,
right.
oh, they're all like, ooh, let me give me some of that Scottish rod that you got there. What's a Scottish shillelagh
Yeah, that's
between your
right.
legs, dripping across the ground like that. Put me in a pint of Guinness,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. But like straight up, like he's the only one of the talk show guys I actually find remotely funny.
Oh, he's hilarious. He's funny
Yeah.
as all hell. He really is. He's funny.
Yeah.
Jimmy Fallon is not funny. He is not
No.
funny.
No, he's
He's
not.
as
He's
funny.
terrible.
Oh, he is. He's as funny as puppy cancer. Honestly, he just really sucks. I mean, I'm on it.
No, I mean
I
straight
can't
like
stand him.
like Conan can be funny. It's not often anymore, but he can be funny still. I just think I mean it's funny too because Conan O'Brien actually probably shaped most of our humor because all of us have seen The Simpsons at one point or another, and he was one of the writing staff when The Simpsons was at its funniest. But The Simpsons hasn't been funny for a long time either.
No, they haven't. What? How many times have they jumped the shark, nuked the fridge, or ate the donut? I mean, it's they've been on. Oh God, they've been on since 1987.
Mm-hmm. I was 6 years old when they were on.
Oh God, yeah, I never got into them. I never got into them. The same thing with Seinfeld. I never got into Seinfeld. I never got into The Simpsons. They were both to me. I was like Simpsons. All right, yeah. how many years can Homer still eat the same donut? You know, I mean, it's like there's 600 episodes of The Simpsons. Does that mean? I mean, even if they had like 365, one for every day of the year, you know, it's feasible that Bart Simpson would take a little bit of time to go into the fifth grade, but he's not even in the fifth grade yet, and they've had 600 fucking episodes. What? He got left back twice? You know, that's just like, where's the logic in that? I just can't stand them. I cannot stand the Simpsons. They suck.
Okay. So
Ugh.
once upon a time that show was good. Once upon a time, it was a
Yeah,
long time ago.
1989 maybe.
1990 through 93, and I still think, ironically, since we're talking about talk shows that are actually funny, Conan O'Brien did an episode with the monorail. That was Conan's episode. He wrote it. It's funny. It still stands up even today. It's still one of those ones that's like, oh my gosh. But that was 30 years ago. Like, I mean,
that's a long ass time.
Right? Hey, but I mean, I find Futurama hilarious. It's still a funny show. It just unfortunately got lambasted by the NFL. Right?
What happened with the NFL? What happened with them in the NFL?
Well, they never had a regular schedule because they would always be scheduled on Sunday night with the NFL. So
I remember now.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So, but that show is actually ridiculously funny the whole way through. It's like, you're the funniest show, and Simpsons is the popular show. And I'll never, again, popularity is something I'll never understand. Just like some shows are good and don't find the audience or have things go against them, and some shows are just there, and for whatever reason they draw. I mean, Simpsons is nowhere near as popular as it was, like not even close. But Fox still makes a buttload of money with them.
I don't know. I think it's, that's really all it is now at this point. It's just some silly cash grab. I mean, the voice actors are already rich beyond the dreams of anything, so it's like,
it's a dream. Like, I mean, in one hand sense, it's a dream thing, right? Because it's successful, like unbelievably successful. On the other hand, it's a nightmare because there's a point where it's like, well, Nancy Cartwright has been who she's been for decades. Can you picture
30 odd years?
Yeah, Hank Azaria, same thing.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you can't picture them as anything else. I mean, there's a point. I think there's a point. I mean, that's a really hard choice. I mean, you're that successful. I mean, it's really hard to leave that once you've established yourself in that corner in the universe, right? So
yes, that's very true. It's like, how? Yeah, it's like you do the same thing for over 30 years, and
that's where they're playing.
It must be like the easiest thing in the world for her to do. You know, I mean, what does she work like 2 months out of the year, and then that's it?
Yeah, well,
maybe. I mean, I don't know.
I think at this point it's one of those reasons why they were paid so much money, because they've done this all for such a long time that it's like, well, if you want me to keep doing it, you're going to pay me this much money to do it. It's a respect thing, but it's also, I mean, it's the price of, I mean, it's like even comics. Let's say, for the sake of argument, that somewhere after you get an opportunity at another mainstream character, and you become the de facto artist for that mainstream character, right? Like John Romita Jr. is with Spider-Man. Like honestly, JMJ. I mean, you can't picture Spider-Man without him.
That's right.
So that means when he shows up there, when he still shows up there from time to time, I mean, they should pay him a premium because he definitely establishes the look and feel. It's like let's say it's Vision, or let's say it's Thor, or let's say whatever it is, right? You're now this mega hit, and you're getting everything you're asked for to do it too. Like, I mean, everything. Yeah. It'd be hard to walk away from that, even if you're at that point creatively where it's like, I've done everything I can with this.
Yeah, that's true. Sometimes you sell your soul a little bit, you know. It's hard to resist it because, you know, when I finished inking over at DC Comics, I had a page rate per page of what was it, like 130, no, $125 American dollars per page. So that amounted to about 3,000. Well, what does it amount? Like 2,700 dollars per month just from that. Um, yeah, and then I get a little bit of ancillary work here and there. It was easy, you know. I mean, after a while, for me, I mean, after a while, I didn't want to ink anymore. Even if I was offered 150 a page, I was like, no, no, because that's too damn easy. I've already reached that height. I never expected in my life to work for Marvel, much less work for both Marvel and DC. I wanted to, but I didn't think I wasn't too sure if I'd actually do it. But after the years I had at Marvel, and then the years I had at the 2.5 years, maybe 2 years I had at DC Comics, and I was an inker for the majority of the time. I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm done. That's it. No more inking. This is ridiculous. And then I went to penciling, and I did the whole independent circuit with that. It paid less, but it was more satisfying.
Yeah.
It was much more satisfying because I was able to do something creative. I mean, there was some of the writers some of the writers that I worked with, they entrusted me into designing their characters, and that's amazing. I was very pleased, very, very pleased.
It made you a better storyteller. Like, it made you a better one because
Yes. Yeah.
you aren't just using the same old muscles anymore. You were doing something brand new and different.
No, the
And
first
that,
thing I did, the first thing that I penciled. Well, I also inked my own work, so it's one or the
oh,
other.
sure.
But the first thing that I penciled was an anthropomorphic tale called Mice and Man, and it still remains. I mean, I really put a lot of heart and soul into that one because I really wanted to do well on it. Now, I got paid piddly in that one. I was like, oh my god, this is horrifying. There has to be better days, and it turns out there were, but still, it's like, this is a low page rate. Holy shit! I was like, wow, I'm working on the cheap. I'm whoring myself out here.
Yes.
I really must need the crack. I'm just like, that's the end of it. But that's the truth. And it was some of the best moments of my life, to be honest with you. I will show you something. Give me 1 second.
Sure.
Now I did this in 2014, way, way back. If you really want to put it like a way, way back type thing, I drew this. Now, the story behind it was that I had to draw a double page spread, and I was like, okay, how am I going to do it? So I tried laying it out, and then I showed it to the writer, and he's like, oh yeah, it looks great, go for it. So I did, and halfway through, I was like, this really sucks. I don't like it. So I go to the writer. His name is Steve Shockey, and he looks at me. I talk with him. He doesn't look at me. He's in fucking California. We don't have like the monitor things that the fancy doohickeys that the young people use all the time with their Tactics or whatever, or book faces. Us old people, we have to rely on Morse code and carrier pigeon. So what happened is that I go to him and I go, look, I really don't like what I have, and he's like, why? And I go, because I think it sucks. He's like, well, just complete it. I'm sure it's going to be fine at the end. I go, nope. He's like, well, what are you going to do? And I was like, I'm going to redraw the damn thing. Now, mind you, I already finished like half of it already. It's in a trash heap somewhere in the middle of Fresh Kills landfill in Staten Island, New York. So we'll never find that damn thing. But he was like, you are out of your goddamn mind. And I'm like, yes, I am. I was like, why the hell not? So I did, and I put myself to task. I sat there at that desk in that chair for 14 hours straight.
Oh, Jesus.
With the occasional getting up to go to the bathroom and whatnot and food, but it never lasted more than 5 minutes that I was up out of that chair within a 3 or 4 hour interlude or anything. But I sat down and I created, and I still have this page with me. I will never sell it unless someone wants to give me like the 5,000 British pounds, maybe I'll consider parting with it. But there's no way I'm ever going to part with this. Here is the first side of this ridiculous double page spread. Now,
Wow.
I already had, now I counted, there are 23 panels in these 2 pages. 23. I was like, what in the frig am I doing? Why am I even bothering? So I had this, and here's one side, and if you look on the bottom here, as it goes along, the fox is trying to kill the frog, the frog knight, Murray. His name is Murray. That's who he is. So I decided to do a little bit of the Joe Kubert thing, and I was like, look, the action's really thin and fast paced and everything. The arrows that were inside the frog he pulls out. So the one moment that he's distracted, he goes to strike, and then, fuakata, he chops his hand off. Oh my God, bro! Look at that. It's just nasty.
Yeah.
He's like, he just chopped his hand off with the shield on it. Ugh. And then we have this over here where it's like, where the hell is it? Okay, yeah. We have this over here where he falls down and the fox is like, I have nothing but respect for you, old man. I don't want to kill you. So you're going to tell us the whereabouts of the Rabbit King's son or something like that. So naturally he's a frog, so he jumps really far. He proceeds to escape, jumping into like a ravine, which turns out to be the East River, because this is 150 years in the future in Manhattan. So shit like that happens all the time.
Always, right?
Always. So then it's like I used all my powers of like cinematography and scene arranging. So it's like I have him jump in the water. And then with that thin ass panel, I did all those little freaking bubbles and everything as he's swimming away. And then the look on his face where it's like, damn it, he got away.
Yep. Wow.
I did that in one day. Zap. 13 hours, 14 hours, I sat on this friggin' chair and I did it. And that was the culmination at that point of what I knew at that point when I did that. I was like, I can do this.
Yeah.
And I did. And now we have my graphic novel.
Yeah, we do. We do.
Yeah, and I'm going to make the announcement here right now. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Joshua has asked me if he can lend some of his editing skills to the script that I'm going to have, and I know that I am not, one man is not an island, because I'm too damn tired to do it. So I'm going to write out whatever script I have and everything, and I will leave it in Joshua's capable hands to see how it's going to go. So Joshua, as of chapter 2, Joshua Pantalaresco. I still have trouble saying you and your Genzo name. You and your stupid Italian name, kind of like mine, but with more words and letters and stuff.
It's Maltese. Don't hold it against me. We just have longer names.
God damn it. Yeah. Oh, man. All you Maltese people,
right.
with all your falcons and stuff,
right.
I mean, it really gets there. But, yes, Joshua Pantalaresco is going to be the editor for issues 2, 3, and 4. Congratulations. You are now part of the Incantesi clan.
That's right. That's right. A little quiet secret. I'm going to mention this here. I got to look at some of your scripts for issue 1 anyway, a little bit in advance, I think, than everybody else did.
I'm sorry, what?
I got to look at some of your writing in Incantesi 1 even a little bit before I actually saw the finished pages when I asked to review it and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I remember that because you again, for you, I mean, I was helping you out as a bud because this was your first Kickstarter and you were really excited, and this was like,
yes, this is your baby. You for that. Thank you.
Yeah. This is your baby. So I gave you some advice here and there, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that did that, but I did that, and I was like, I remember getting the issue, looking at the inside, it was like, he needs someone to prove this. He just needs someone to actually prove this. that's the
Yeah.
idea. It's like, you know
Oh
what?
yeah, definitely. I would be able to do it if I had the ability to segment more time towards that. But even with that, I don't usually do it.
It's a weird, it's a hard balance because also I mean,
It's one hell of a hard balance. Yes, it is. It's terrifying, to be honest with you. I mean, I can write and I can come up with the ideas. That's not a question of that. I know how to tell a story, but there's still the nuances that I can focus on, but clearly not as good as someone who's been doing this for a while. And I do trust you. And yes, Joshua, there's a lot of people that I have mentioned. There's a couple that I have not mentioned. I will say that Joshua has been blunt and honest with me and made sure that I did a couple of things the correct way.
yeah,
And I appreciate that. And that's why I'm going to make sure that I have Joshua as the editor for this thingy. And I'll tell you what, that will be really cool because that
yeah,
will save me a bit of time and it gets your credit name out there and that stuff. And we can talk about if we go past issue 4, if we go past issue 4, or we'll talk, we'll
yeah.
talk,
We'll
we'll
talk.
talk.
We'll talk. No, it's one of those. I just look at it kind of like, okay, for me, I've always wanted. I got obviously like everything I've been doing in terms of even drawing and stuff like that. I've been slowly training myself little by little to tell more stories with pictures because I want to do that well at some point. Getting there little by little. But the other thing too is I also realize like as someone that has published his own books in the past, proofing your own stuff is hard because wherever your
It
blind
is hard.
spots.
It's very tough. It is. It's yeah. I can't. I don't have the time in order to really do it. You know, to really pay attention to it
Mhm.
and see how everything is going to fit. I mean, I'm a very quick learner,
Oh, sure.
and I'm a fast learner, and I can easily adapt to any situation. But I will say this to the audience to your audience out there that the next 3 chapters of Incantesi are not going to have 48 pages. They're going to have 60 because what I'm doing is I'm writing the prologue and the epilogue into chapters 2, 3, and 4. Now, the prologue and the epilogue are going to be meant to tell the story about tell that portion of the history of the Incantesi at the moment when they have that final bout with the Wrath and they imprison all of the Wrath with only 5 Incantesi left. And that I'm using those 3. I'm using those 3 prologues and three epilogues as a something of a transition into the next segment of chapters that I'm going to do for the Incantesi after chapter 4. Because there's going to be one hell of a really crazy ending for chapter 4. And it's going to involve the characters that are going to be in the prologue and the epilogue. So,
Okay.
yeah, it's a thing. You know, it's I figured a lot of it out already. I just have to really concentrate and put it on paper because I've been so consumed with the art.
The art's amazing. I mean, the art's amazing for the book. Like
Oh,
that's
thank you, thank you.
no, the
I
art's
didn't
amazing.
show you yet I didn't show you the. Did I show you the black and white for issue 2?
Not. Hold on. I'm checking right
Well,
now.
I put a lot of it into a PDF format. Give me a sec, buddy.
Yeah.
Um, I'm gonna copy the link and I'm gonna put it into your Facebook Messenger if you
Yeah.
don't
Okay,
mind.
yeah. That'd be cool. Like, yeah, I'll look at it. No, I like just a couple things. Like, again, from a personal point of view, when I do my own like books,
Yeah.
I recognize the fact that I don't see even with the best of intentions, right? Even with the best of intentions, I
Hmm.
don't see everything. I'm not That is an amazing cover for issue 2, by the way. I'm not
Oh,
gonna
thank you.
show
Thank you.
anything to anybody here. I'm just looking at what you've shown me, and it's just like, oh wow, like you've put a lot into this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you put an absolute lot into this. Ooh, I was expecting that. Kind of was.
Yeah, there's a lot that's unexpected in this some bitch. That I'll tell you that for nothing. Oh my goodness gracious me.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
This is it's intense. That there's a lot. There is a lot in here, and
I'm
yeah,
I
it's up there.
I'm not gonna spoil anything just yet, but there are some definitely things from character beats from issue 1. I'm kind of curious what you carry into number 2, but also a real fun question here. Now that this is your baby, your series,
Uh-huh.
is continuity a bitch? A
I'm
little
sorry,
bit.
what?
Is continuity keeping your story together? Because what I found when I was doing sequels to my
No,
book series, like
no.
remembering continuity was always something I was very conscious of, if that makes sense.
Well, you see, the way that I do things, I don't know if I do things I can't say that I do anything in a segmented order, really. I'm more whenever I tell any type of story, I'm more of a type of person that takes the chaos and turns it into order. Because it's like I have initially for issue 2, I had the general plot, what I was going to do with it, and then I refined it a little bit more. But the problem with that is that with the whatever pages you see here, just like with the first issue, there's going to be about at least 4 or 5 pages that I will not use.
Mm-hmm.
And that's bad because it's like that's time I could have used for additional pages that I could have finished that I'm actually going to use.
Mm-hmm.
And I find myself reviewing the story for myself and realizing that it's like, wait a minute, there's not so much a flaw here, but I'm finding that I don't like this particular thing anymore because it just doesn't make any sense or it's too cliched or too obvious. So I'm like, all right, let's change this. Let's see if I can move this. Let's see if I can do that. I almost omitted a couple of brand new characters for the sake of it. And I was just like, you know what? No, let's figure out how I'm going to do this. And I managed to do it. But again, there's like maybe 4 or 5 pages that I will not be able to use at this point.
Sure.
Or I'll use some of the images and see if I can put them together combine them into a page. But I don't see that happening. But all these images over here, I think the art for this particular issue is superior to the first one.
Yeah.
I think so.
Well, it's a couple things. You're not figuring out as much in the second. Like, your characters a lot more in this issue than you did in the first issue. In the first issue, you're like, okay, I got to figure out body language, who they are. Now you're not there anymore. You're like, okay, I know who you are. This is the situation now. What can I do to make it better, right? And or take the story to the next level. Yeah. Although I don't think you cutting pages is necessarily a waste of time.
No, it isn't. It isn't because I mean you're right. It's not really a waste of time per se. What it is it's incorrect it's incorrect continuity on my part. That's what it is, and it's me messing up. To be blunt honest with you, it's just me messing up, and I'm like, ah, damn it. So it's like I got to do it this way. But yeah, it's I've gotten more comfortable with the characters themselves, and also that there's a little bit more of an urgency with this one because so far, you might have said you gave thank you for the really lovely review of my book, by the way. Yeah, that was very generous of you. Virtually every single person who has gotten a copy of the Incantesi, whether it's hard or soft cover, they either A, love it, or B, they really love it and they can't wait for issue 2 to come out. And I posted something a couple of days ago. A friend of mine, his son, got the soft cover copy when his dad got the hardcover copy, and the kid loved the book so damn much, he took the print that I sent him of the cover and he put it on the wall next to his poster of The Flash.
Nice.
And it turns out this kid's wallpaper has skulls on it. So if I can get a 10-year-old boy
Oh
who
yeah.
has skulls for wallpaper and the Flash for a poster to anxiously anticipate the second issue of a ballerina who can cast magic spells, I'm doing something right. At
Yeah.
least I think I am.
Well, she is a
So,
pretty she's a pretty badass ballerina. She really, really is. I'm curious what her relationship with her aunt's going to be like going forward, because
it's gonna be it will be fractured.
I figured that's going to be the big arc going for probably the remainder of the first story, because
Yeah.
that is the heart of it. To me though, like the fact that you cut, like it makes sense. Comics are weird for me. Like when I review a book, right? The biggest question I always have when I read a book, especially from an indie creator,
Yeah.
where does the story actually begin? To your credit, to your credit, your story begins right at the beginning. You get a sense of who those two characters are. You get their relationship to each other.
Mm-hmm.
You give me who they are. You give me a little bit about what they're doing, and about within 10 pages of that, I need to know why I should care. Like you give it all away, and it's a very good, very great story. It's very solid storytelling. It doesn't
Thank you.
feel like
Wow, thank you.
yeah, it's solid storytelling. Again, I told you this off. It reminded me of a book called Book of Lost Souls. That's what you're like calling around J. Michael Straczynski. It's what it reminds me a little bit of. Not
Wow.
quite as not quite as anamorphological, but it definitely has some of that like beat. Like it feels like very much that Marvel-esque magic thing. Like I like doctors again, and I say this as a compliment. It reminded me of that. So you got a little bit of that. You got a little bit of you got some good family drama there, and so you have a solid story already. Some comics I read, the first issue doesn't usually sometimes begin till page 12 or 13. Now, when you only have 20 pages, usually in those first issues, it's like that's a long time to wait until I get into the story. Yours,
Yeah, that's up there. You know, it takes a while. The one thing that I wanted to do, because I felt that 48 pages was going to be the max that I was going to be able to do for each one, but I wanted to get a sense of who the characters are and who the other characters could potentially be. I wanted to make sure that we got an idea of who Cassandra was to begin with. You know, with it, on page 2, you know, her goofiness because she's been rehearsing the damn thing so much.
I love that
You
scene.
know,
It
and
was
the
so my
ant
favorite
getting
in the book.
frustrated, her picking her nose. That's comedy gold. I was
Well,
like, yes, this
not only
works.
is it comedy gold, it says a lot about their relationship. The fact that she's
Yeah,
comfortable enough to do that with her aunt, or right, it
exactly.
says an awful lot about their relationship. That without saying a word,
Yeah,
there's,
yeah,
there's a certain intimacy between, like you show that intimacy, that connection between them
yeah,
right
exactly.
away,
I
and
wanted to do that.
yeah, and
You
I
know,
think
and then when the girls, the three girls that are there, like a couple, I wanted to also plant a little bit of the girls that show up later in the issue.
sure,
Just it's like, okay, yeah, hi, this is who we are, you know, and it's like they kind of introduce themselves, but they're only there for like maybe a page or two, and then until you don't see them again until like page 22, 23, and it turns out, well, no, you see them on page 13, and then you get an idea of like, wait a minute, why are they there? What are they talking about? And
mm-hmm.
then page 22, it's like, yeah, we know who these guys are already, but as issue 2 rolls out, you will see more of a side of the other two girls because at the end of the first issue, towards the end, the one of them, you know, has a change of heart. You know, if you've seen the issue, you know, the one who can teleport, you know, she has the change of heart. She's like, I can't let this person die. This is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah,
You know, and I wanted to do that, not only to like, I mean, I wanted to do that kind of in a way to, let's just say, streamline the story. When you see the black and white art, you'll understand why.
Yeah.
you'll understand what happens towards, kind of towards the end of whatever it's going to be. But let's just say I'm trying to streamline the story in a way where it's like it enhances who the other characters are, or it gives us a better insight on who the characters are and what their level of empathy is, or what their level of tolerance is. You'll see.
So they reminded me when I first saw them. Did you ever see the cartoon Gargoyles?
Yes.
The Weird Sisters. That's what they
Yeah.
reminded me of immediately when I saw them.
Well,
And it was
one of
like,
them. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
so I actually like the twist you took with that. It's like, well, usually they're outside, omnipresent, not quite good or bad guys, kind of more like forces of nature,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes they're with you, sometimes they're against you, but for the most part, they're their own thing. The fact that at least one of them has a more personal connection to this is an interesting twist on a very old, um, like Macbeth's Three Witches. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it's an old take. It's a new twist. It's a fun twist on that. So
Yeah.
I'm curious where that goes. I'm curious about some of the real, quote unquote, real world elements you've introduced into this as well. How that ties into everything going forward. Um, and obviously, just the main characters and where they're gonna be after the end of issue 2, because there are definitely some things that are. I don't think the aunt's going to be as close by the end of the next issue. Something tells me that they're not going to have the same relationship soon. Um, and
They're not. It's going to be.
yeah,
Well, there's going to be in between the end of issue 2 and the beginning of issue 4. There's going to be a really big paradigm shift. There's going to be something. There's going to be something that you will kind of expect, but will still be horrified as to how that change occurs. Because it's like that. There are things that I go like this. It's kind of like a Jean Grey thing, but it happens a lot quicker because the person that all of a sudden comes to inherit the great power that she has, or had to have it unlocked in such an abrupt way that that what I mean, coupled with the fact that she finds out the truth about a lot of things from the one person that was supposed to take care of her, and when everything else happens and she realizes her life was something of a lie, and then all of a sudden something happens indirectly as a result of her faults. It's not going to be pleasant.
no,
I mean, there's gonna not so much a complete personality shift, but it's something that's been simmering a little bit here and there, and you can kind of notice it in the banter a little bit in the beginning. Because I mean, yeah, she disobeys and she picks her nose and everything, but if you hit it a little bit more, like after they're done, you know, well, that's the name. Cassandra says, I need an aunt, not a drill instructor. And then the aunt shoots back. She's like, not only am I your drill instructor, but I'm also your taxi. I'm also your chauffeur. I'm your occasional bank account, your cook. You don't pay rent, blah, 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 blah. It's like there's even though they do love each other, there's still a little testy between them, and she's
there
feeling her oats a little bit because she's of age and she's like, I'm getting a little bolder now, and she's gaining a little bit of her confidence now, given the fact that she finds out all the things that she's going to find out, and she will find out in the worst way possible.
of course.
When she finds all of that out, plus any type of rivalry that the two of them are having, there's always something simmering, always something just like a little bit less, which I'm going to reveal, provided I would hope that we're going to go to a chapter 5 to 8. If we get to chapters 5 through 8 thing, yes, I will reveal in a backstory what really happened. And I will
So
show it in much greater visual acuity what exactly happened. I'll let the audience know, but I will show in greater detail what happened in a flashback. But it's not pleasant. And and I already have the scenario towards the end of chapter 3 in my mind on what's going to happen, and I will tell you about it later because
yeah,
it's nuts, nuts.
yeah,
After we finish this, I'll talk to you about it.
yeah, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, 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 yeah. No, I look at it like Cassandra's gonna have to grow up fast. Her and her aunt have had. There's a rivalry there, and I also would dare say, just based on what I've read, there is a touch of jealous. There is a combination of pity, a little bit from the aunt to Cassandra for what she's about to put her through, but there's also a little jealousy because the biggest thing I picked up between them is Cassandra has something she does not, and
Oh, yeah,
that's something, whatever that is. I don't know. Yeah, I'll probably know more after we go off the air. It pushed her to making the decision she did for about Cassandra that I think I'm almost certain she regrets on a lot of levels. She regrets those decisions,
yeah,
knowing
she
what
does.
she knows, knowing what she knows now. She regrets the decision she's made then.
Yeah,
But there's also a little bit of there's jealousy because Cassandra has an ability that she does not, and also along the way, there's also love there because you raise somebody no matter what your nefarious plans and purposes are. And I get the feeling Cassandra's going to have to learn this lesson a hard way too. Is even though it wasn't quite what you thought it was, there's still a lot of things about that relationship that are very true. And probably when that big break and that big revelation happens, that's what Cassandra's going to have to figure out going forward before it's too
yeah.
late.
There's an interesting dynamic with that because I'm trying to figure out how she would react to something like that. To when she finds out what she finds out, I'm trying to find out in my head how would she really take it. Like I mean, because the one thing I actually really want to avoid is the primal scream where she launches into space at like
Yo, yeah,
Mach
just
35 or some crap like that. You know, I want to avoid that because that's just typical. You know,
I think the one cliche that would work though, on terms of the panel setup, the
but
puzzle, like the glass shattering, because that kind of feels like what like that would be the moment. Like it's certain things perceptions she's had are no longer there.
well,
I think
the internal
I
glass shattering, yes. You know, any
yeah,
type of thought that she had, yes.
yeah.
For me, if I was gonna do that, I mean, I was just gonna. The one thing that I want, that I one thing I think I was just going to do was after Cassandra hears whatever it is that she hears, she just gets up and leaves and doesn't say a word,
I could see
and
that.
that's it.
I could see that. I could also just see a minute where she just stops.
Well,
I could
yeah,
also
that's
I
what
could
it
see
is. It's just
yeah, yeah.
that Cassandra just looks and just looks at her, doesn't say a word, like looks at her to a point where Amelia is just like say something, and Cassandra just she won't. Not even a question of whether she can't or not, she won't, and she just leaves.
Mhm.
That's it. You know, she just leaves. And then when the event happens that I mentioned that I will mention to you later, that's when something else is going to happen.
Mhm.
And the end of issue 3 and all of most of issue 4 is going to really it's going to be every single page will be battle, action, fight,
Yeah.
magic, death, death, everything, carnage, blah blah, half of Milan destroyed, all that stuff. Da, 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 da. And an ending which you will see coming, but you won't.
It's okay. It's
Oh
okay.
yeah, I know.
That's the best part. Like, I think a logical ending makes sense. I'm doing like I just finished a draft of my novel, one of my next releases. I literally, when I asked my betas, did I cheat? I almost universally got a yes. The ending fits. The way I got there was wrong. So I have to go back and refix that a little bit. And that's what I'm going to be doing. But the expectation, like the big decision you always have as a storyteller is, do you lean into the expectations, or do you twist them, right? And either way, there's always a twist. Twist is on it. Do you meet them, or do you not meet your expectation? And what twist do you have along the way? Because either way is fine. You can go either way, but it's how you tell that story that makes or breaks it. She can have the most predictable ending in the world. That actually doesn't matter. It's how you tell that story.
That is true.
Right? Right? It's how you tell that story, because if you tell it right, it doesn't matter if you see it coming. I'm not going to care. Is it good? So good that so I'm going to spoil a comic. Saga. I knew her dad was going to die. I knew at some point in the series he was going to die, because there was a point I just realized that she's talking about him completely in past tense. I think the mom's still alive, but I'm not sure about the dad. And I was right. Now, it didn't happen in a very fun way, and I hate Brian K. Vaughan because it's been over a year, and I still don't know what happens next, and it's killing me a little bit. It's like, I knew you were going to get to this point, but damn it, what happens next, right? And damn it, curse you, Brian K. Vaughan, and Beyond the Staples. Curse you. But in the best way, I knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
It was still good when it did happen. I didn't expect when exactly it did. Like after the issue before, I was like, oh, they're gonna make it to the next arc, and that's when he's gonna die. Nope, next issue, he's gone too. It's like, oh, okay. So it's like you're cleaning up shop completely. Okay, gotcha. And it was one of those things where it was like, but I knew it was coming, because just the way it was written, the way the story was being told, I knew. What I didn't know was how. And that's okay. And that's really all that matters. It doesn't matter what you choose, my friend. What matters is, what matters is how you tell it. And then you make it as good or as bad as you can.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that it is going to be what it is. And I'd like to think I'm on the right track.
Well, so far, if it's any indication, you're on the right track for sure.
Thank you. Wow, I'm honored, man. Thank you very much.
Yeah, the first issue was really good. I'm curious where you go with issue 2. I have some idea based on our conversations off the air. I don't know about issue 3 at all. I don't know about issue 4 at all.
But I'm going to talk to you about as soon as we get off the air.
I know.
Yeah, really. I'm going to tell you.
I'm just saying, like, based on what I've seen and what you told me.
Yeah.
Right. I think you're doing a really good thing so far. Right. Well, we'll see where how it all comes out, because I think the cool thing about comics. This is the cool thing about comics. Comics tend to be a little bit, in one sense, there's a little bit more forgiveness, because you get the luxury of, I have to talk about in a novel what a room looks like. You can just draw the room. And what really, and no matter how, and don't get me wrong, it still has to look like the room and be the room. There's a lot of different challenges from an illustration point of view, but you don't need 1,000 words, right?
No, you don't. But a picture's worth 1,000 words anyway. So
exactly, that's the thing. One really good picture with a lot of well thought and meticulous thought. Like, comics are a visual medium, and they totally are. They totally are a visual medium, and that's its pro, and that's its con. Because here's the thing: where it's good or bad is, can I believe what I'm seeing? No matter how outlandish the concept, can I swallow that? With a comic, I think the margin for error, and especially when we look at like superhero books, the margin for error is I think It's easier on a description angle, but the story has to look. The timing, I think, has to be better in a comic. I could be
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah.
I
The
could be,
timing's
yeah,
I've gotten to a point where timing is kind of easy, but it's only after years of doing what I'm doing, and I'm
yeah.
still learning regardless. So it's like,
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's like I have the understanding on where visual cues come from, and even if I know I'm going to make a mistake, what I mean, before it would be so haphazard. I'm like, oh crap, I shouldn't be doing this. I'll just add another page, and I'm just like, oh yeah, let me just add another page. Not exactly the most constructive way of doing things, you know. So it's like, I mean, just before I had to count the pages that I had, and I'm realizing, wait a minute, there's pages missing here that I should have done already that I did, and I'm like, oh my god, and I'm like, holy shit, it's like I'm missing. For the second chapter, I'm missing 15 pages, but there's never more than two that are consecutive. So I'm like, oh my god, what the fuck did I do? I'm just like, holy shit, man.
But
So that's something I have. I'm going to Wales next week, and I'm going to be there for the entire week. And during that time, I'm going to write, and I'm just going to
yeah,
research, do a whole bunch of stuff because I'm still doing the whole. I have to figure out how I'm going to streamline the whole marketing thing for my book because it's like, I mean, I have more time this time, and I have well over a month and a half left in order to get everything taken care of, and then a month after the Kickstarter campaign begins, that I could finish all the coloring and the lettering in between that, and then while I'm waiting, if it makes the goal and stuff like that, I'll just wait for the Kickstarter money to come in, and during that time, I'll just work on chapter 3 because again, I already have a great idea of where 3 is going to go.
I
And I'm going to finish 2 and 3 immediately over that week. But I'm sorry, Joshua. Go ahead.
no, I think you're going to do better in terms of meeting your goal. I think what I think the difference is. I think the difference here is this is your second campaign. So what's going to happen now is you have some idea what worked the first time. You have some idea what didn't work the first time.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So now it's like, okay, I know what worked. So now you got it. The questions you're asking yourself are really simple. What do I have now that I didn't have before? You have the first issue, which is always
I had action towards the end of it. Now there's a lot more. There's more action in this one. There's more double page spreads. There's
sure.
4 in total right now.
Yeah.
Right now, it's like, how'd I do all that? It's just like, oh my god,
Magic. But I mean, just like in terms of just marketing, you have the first issue.
Yeah.
You've already got you have a proof of concept already. You know, like I said, from your tiers, what did well last time, right?
Yes.
And so now you're like, okay, let's try some different stuff. Like I noticed, like you were mentioning, like variant covers. Like you're playing with the idea of variant covers a little bit.
Yeah, then that's pretty. That's as far as I'm going to go when it comes.
Oh
to
no, and that's totally fine. Like no, I'm not saying go get somebody else. What I'm saying is you're playing with that now. So maybe you can come up with like a cool like variant incentive, something you do specifically for the second campaign. Like if you get so many, like stretch goals and stuff like that, maybe you come up with something like that. Maybe like now you've got a track record of success with this campaign, and if anything,
so far, yeah,
and if anything, I think the next one's going to be easier for you to sell, not harder. What you need to figure out, and when this is just you, the businessman, needs to figure out, be more in line of what works and what doesn't, and pay very close attention, like even closer, because now you're going to have a pattern. Because at the end of the second campaign, you will have 2 campaigns with this book. You will have a clearer idea of what will work and what won't work. So by the time you get to the third book, dare I say it, you might have a formula. And if you have a formula, right, you're not going to have to work so hard. You're not going to have to work so hard on that end anymore because you'll know. And that should be your goal with this campaign. I again, call me crazy, but I think you're going to succeed on this one too. It's going to do better than the first one. In part,
I'm firmly in the belief that it's going to do better than the first one because right now I have more followers at this point for the second campaign than I did for the
Absolutely.
entirety of the first campaign. And
And,
yeah,
and you have a lot more people in your corner because again, not just I'm not the only review you have of it, but there's a lot. You've had a lot of quiet little advertisements for this
oh yeah,
already.
there's a good
Yeah,
five
right.
or six people who posted on social media, and
Yeah.
there's two more people that are gonna do reviews on my book before the month of
Mhm.
May is over. So it's like,
Yeah. So
yeah,
you,
and the one I
you're
did, the one I got from comics, from the other one, Comical Opinion, that blew me away. And the
yeah.
one you wrote was like, was very, very kind of you.
You realize that now since I'm editing the book, I can't review any of the other ones, right?
No, no, you don't have to. It's not that I wouldn't want you to. It's like it's okay. I mean,
Yeah,
it's like,
well, it's now officially a conflict of interest. I can't do it,
yeah,
but
no, that's
yeah,
okay. That's
yeah,
totally fine with
but
me. I'm just like,
but
I'm happy that
yeah,
there's that I have a nice following, and
yeah,
I've gotten I've gotten a decent following from a certain demographic, which again I'll just talk to you about because I don't want to
yeah, yeah, totally,
open mouth
totally.
insert, but I don't want to do that. But I'm the fact that I'm reaching a bunch of demographics in one book instead of like one singular thing. It makes me happy that
Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
there's a story that I have is universal more than just singular.
Yeah, and like I said, so I mean, now your challenge with the second book is build
Yeah,
upon your first one. What worked in the first, what didn't work. Try to keep those things that worked. Try some new things. See how much of a successful improvement there is. So again, by the time you get to the third one, your third campaign, you will have a clear marketing story, for lack of a better term, about how to market your book. It sounds really corny, but that's what you're looking for and hoping for. And
yeah.
I think,
I still haven't found that magic thing yet. Even though I did good with the first
yeah,
campaign, I
yeah,
still haven't found that like magic that like that that like anti-life equation type thing. I haven't really
yeah.
found it as of yet.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, so some really good campaigns I particularly enjoy looking at. I love Kaylin Smith. I love her stuff. Uh,
Okay.
her campaigns have gradually each one has done bigger and better and bigger and better,
Yeah.
and she just keeps telling these great stories.
Oh yeah, that's the key.
Yeah,
That's the one thing that you have to do. It doesn't matter how many
yeah,
big boobed warrior assassin chicks wearing napkins are gonna. Doesn't matter how many of that you have on your campaign or how many ass shots you got, or how many cities or planets you blow up or whatnot and stuff like
yeah.
that. You need a
Is the
good
story
story,
good?
and it's
Yeah.
like, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, the only other thing I was going to say is, like I said, you the storyteller, like Rich Perotta, the writer artist.
Yeah.
Actually, real quick before I only got to drawing tonight. It don't matter. I think we had a good conversation. As a writer, how has this stretched you personally? Because I mean, I feel like for you, drawing is, I'm not going to say second nature exactly, but you're comfortable
Mhm.
as a storyteller with pictures. But this, I think, is
Um.
this is your baby, all of it. Like this is like calling around distant story. This is like your version of that. This is you just telling your story your way, start to finish.
It's what it is it's made me think of more things.
Mm-hmm.
It's made me think of branches of it makes me think of branches on how a story can unfold,
Mm-hmm.
and it's made me think of how the personalities of the characters that I'm creating, how they mold or not mold the way that the story is going to unfold. I mean, I put in the three girls had a goal at one point, was to help the Wrath, you know, get captured by Cassandra, but they didn't know that Cassandra was being guarded by Amelia, who was a formidable sorceress in her own right. She could have taken all three of the girls. So it's like we have to soften her up. We have to do this, that, and the other. So in a way, they placed doubt. Like in the middle of the first issue, that they did all that, and one of them just decided out of nowhere to have a change of heart. because I mean, they're I mean, if everything worked out, they would be committing murder, and it turns out the three girls are already dead, but they were reincarnated, and their gift of life is their payment from the wrath for helping them out to try and set the wheels in motion, not so much kill Cassandra, but set the wheels in motion. But Lilia did not want to do that. She didn't want to be even if she was brought back to life. She didn't want the responsibility of someone else's life as a result of her greed and arrogance and stupidity, like the other girls. So that's why she went to help out Cassandra in the hospital, because she knew where she was. That's why she did it. And I'll explain to you what happens and everything, but I wanted to make sure that someone's going to have a change of heart, but not towards the end of the story when everything is like super pivotal. It's just a change of heart, whatever the hell it is. It's like, yeah, I just simply can't allow this person to die. That's just not right. Yeah. So and that sets off a whole new branch of everything. It really does, because there's a whole bunch of things that I still have to figure out how they're going to come together. And I will tell you, it's helped me improve my storytelling, but it's also very frustrating because when I keep coming up with new ideas, they conflict.
More and more ideas just keep coming, right?
Yeah, and it's like feature creep in a video game. It's like if you think of a great addition to a video game, but it's all the way in the first or second levels, and you're like, fuck, because it's like if you do it there, it's like you have to adjust the rest of the remaining levels and the environments and the way the characters move as a result of that little tiny feature creep. That may be awesome, but it adds more time to the production of the game, and that's what I am doing to myself on a subconscious level. I'm like, wait a minute, this would be great if I put this there, but oh fuck, now I gotta do another additional 3 pages to explain it somehow without being ham-handed or ham-fisted or remove something entirely. It's like, but it's made me think a little clearer. A little clearer. I will never be able to think along the lines of an actual writer, because I'm just not actual writer. But I understand with a little more clarity what true writers go through whenever they see anything and they put in the story together. Far and away. I mean, a lot more than I had a few months ago, definitely, because it's not an easy job. Writing is not easy. It's not. I don't care. Everybody says that, oh, I'm a writer for comics, or I write.
No, it's not.
Romance novels. I'm like, no, you don't. No, you don't. It's like you don't really write any of the crap. You are a writer, Joshua. You are an absolute writer. I think you're a great writer.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. And there's like so many other people who I think are very good writers, but it's not a profession that should be sneezed at. It's not a profession that should be guffawed away. It's like, oh, you wrote something? It's like, no, there's more to that. Much more.
Yeah. No, I wrote. I didn't just write this. I wrote this motherfucker. Enjoy the damn story or don't, but just exactly. I wrote it, right?
Like, who needs the arts? We had something here in Britain. It's like, you shouldn't be an artist. You should be like a nurse or something like that. I'm like, oh, really? An artist who designs like the clothes you wear, or the movies you enjoy, or the comic books you read, or the magazines that you read, or the plays that you enjoy, and all that stuff. That's all creative.
I had this epiphany.
Yes.
Once I had this epiphany. I realized that honestly, I will never hear the necessity of arts argument ever again. Everything we see when we go out the door, when we go outside to enjoy the day, is storytelling. Everything. Yes, from the buildings you see, to the billboards, to the lights in the street, everything is designed with a purpose of telling a story to anybody watching and listening. Now, sometimes they're so subtle, you don't notice them, right? They're so subtle, but they're there. And Absolutely. And so, I mean, now, I think there's places for all kinds of stories, not just writing or illustration, but I mean music, dance, acting, but like all that stuff. It's all language. That's what it is. Like ultimately, what we're doing is we're conveying a message to an audience. That's what we're doing. Right? It doesn't matter if it's a sales, like it's a billboard campaign, or it's a novel. Right? That's like when you break it down, what we're doing. We are trying to communicate and establish a relationship with the people that are interacting with our products. Period. That is what we're doing, and it all involves storytelling.
Yes, it does. And everything is a story. Every
Yeah.
single event that you
Mhm.
see, it can be involved in one way or another. Like, and it has an infinite variety. That's what's beauty. That's the beauty of it. And
Mhm.
I'm happy that I have that ability, at least visually, to tell it, and I tell it very well. That much I do know, and I will say that without any type of arrogance or confidence. I am
And then, there's
damn good at telling a story visually. I know how to draw a goddamn comic book page, and I'm really effing good at it. Sorry.
you're also pretty good at that word thing,
The
right?
word thing?
You're actually
Somewhat.
pretty good. No, you're pretty good. You're pretty good.
Eh,
No, you're pretty good. You're
it's
pretty
my
good.
first one.
But
It's my first one, coach.
it's not your first story. That's
Well,
I think
it's
what
not my first
I
story,
think
no, but it's the first one I've actually had to sit down and actually type letters into the
oh
keyboard thing.
sure, but
My fingers hurt after a while. It's like, oh, too many syllable word things. You
yeah,
know?
but here's the thing, right? Here's
Yes,
the
sir.
thing. I interviewed a musician who's actually doing a comic, and one of the things, and take this I think as a wonderful compliment. Um, I think musicians transfer into different arts the easiest. The reason being is because what they do is an amalgamation of a lot of different art forms in one.
Yes,
Comics
it is.
is a comics is ultimately that too. I think so. I think of it like this: you've been trained for the majority of your life when you've been doing this. You have been trained, right, as a musician playing a particular instrument, but you've been
That's true.
around so many other instruments, right? I'm not saying you can pick up a guitar and just play a guitar, but what I am going to say is you have an idea of notes that work and don't already, simply because you've been around it for so long.
Yeah, it's
Even
true.
if it's not, it won't be perfect, but you already have a bit of an understanding of that going in,
It's true.
which puts you ahead of somebody like me with drawing. It's a completely foreign language to me. I'm learning, but it's a very foreign language to me because I've never told stories with pictures before at all, right? You, although yeah, you haven't directly done words. You've danced with them a lot longer. So for you, it's it's still a leap, but I feel like the cliff is a little closer for you,
Well,
right?
it is because I had a very, very good creative writing teacher. He was the head of the English department at the College of Staten Island, of all places. His name was Lee Papa, and he's a master creative writer, script writer. He's really, really good. He showed me the three words that I have to live by when it comes to any story I'm trying to put together: show, don't tell.
Mm-hmm.
Let your audience figure out the story as you're leading them through, because that gives greater immersion. And that helped me tremendously because I combined that with visual cues that I employ whenever I do any type of pages or storytelling, and it works wonderfully. But and only because he explained it so completely that it didn't take me much to understand it. And for the years that I've been working on comic books, I would see scripts, I would see actual comic book pages. Like, this is before I started really drawing in comics. Like, I would see the size and the scale of the page of the comic book pages themselves, and they're a good 65%. They're like 133% larger than when you shrink them down. And when you work around everything. I mean, you're right. When you work around everything that has to do with it, you get a slight understanding for it. And once you get that understanding, if you decide you want to learn more about it, it won't take you nearly as long. I was shown coloring a couple of times from one of the great comic book colorists out there right now, Christopher Sotomayor. And he showed me, it's like, oh, here's how you do it. You take this, and then you do that. And he showed me very quickly, but through experimentation and nuances, I got to a point where I can color a little bit more than satisfactory. Not great. I'm no color master by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't need to be with the work that I'm putting out.
No.
And and with the writing, um, that becomes that I will admit I have to focus on a little bit more because I do the writing like I do my art, where it's chaos becomes order, and writing is a different kind of chaos, and it becomes a different kind of order. It's one that I don't completely understand as of yet, and I'm only doing well because I'm combining the visual with it, and I'm forcing it to work together. That's how I'm doing it, really.
Well, it's like you don't know all the good slang and swear words yet.
No, no, not even close. No, no, I don't know the good slang. I have to look it up. I'm like, what's a good word for fucking Russian? It's just like I don't really know without saying the word fuck.
No,
It's
no,
just like,
I get you, but I mean that there is something like I mean it's a different language, but it's
it
not.
is. It's a very different language.
Yeah,
It's a
it's a very
very
different
different
language.
language from what I'm used to. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So do you want to know the thing that surprised me most about learning as I've been learning the pencil little by little?
Oh God, what?
The math. There is a
The math.
surprising the math. The shapes are all so I've been getting all these different pointers from all of you that have come on my show and have done this. I think my favorite one was I just looked at all the shapes, and I suddenly imagined ironically enough for me it was like seeing a geometry problem, right? Because of some of the old school math geometry problems, it's like you see the pictures, you have to draw the grids and stuff like that. It's like there is a surprising amount of math in what it may not be how you see it per se, but I looked at it, it's like there's a lot of like precision, technique, placement of things, especially faces with like almost like a grid of the nose is the middle of the middle, and it's like I'm looking at this stuff and I'm like, there's a ton of math to this. And
There is.
I never
On
imagined that when I
planes
did
as
this.
well.
What?
There is, and there's three-dimensional with that, especially with the formation and the proper positioning of the head.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It's not easy at all,
No.
especially with the head because oh God.
Yeah, no, like I said, another that's another day. But I'm just saying, like that was my like biggest surprise. In one way, it made it easier because now I can be like bold. It's like I can try this. Why
Yes.
I don't know what I'm doing, but why would that stop me? But I have a basic idea on some levels. I still screw it up. Oh God, do I screw it up sometimes? But I have an idea where to start at least, which is something I'm not sure. If I hadn't seen what you guys have shown me, I would have gotten to this point this fast. Now I gotta take it one step further. Like I moved to my new place in like 2 weeks. It's not big,
Right.
not a big move. Just me going to a slightly nicer scenario for a short while. As I'm doing a little bit more house sitting as I build my money up, so I can do some things. But once I do that, but once I'm all done that, like I'm going to be getting some more books on anatomy. I'm going to be playing with colors very, very soon. So I'm going to have a better idea, hopefully, what I'm doing by the time June, July hits around. And then I get to do some really crazy ass. I'm going to be doing my own sequentials soon. I'm kind of scared to death about this, but I know they're not going to be great, not compared to what I hope to do down the road. But you learn by doing, right? That's the only way to do it.
Yeah. That's how I did it. It's trial and error. And do yourself a really big favor when you do it. Make a lot of errors because
Yes.
and put yourself up for scrutiny
Oh yeah,
because
totally.
you will never forget when someone looks you in the eye and says, because it's happened to me a lot of times, when someone looks you in the eye and says that, hey, you suck, don't even bother. And it's like, why? It's like, well, the worst after that is when they tell you why. And you find yourself agreeing with that because you're like, oh, Jesus Christ, that's right. What the frig am I doing?
So I,
Oh, there's so many things that I did when I first started doing this. It was atrocious. But anyway, yes, please go ahead. I'm sorry.
I have a beautiful thing is I have an incredibly thick skin because at a very young age I got the opportunity to work with some very professional editors and writers, and
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
so I got a very thick skin. Like I think I think people are very surprised when I goof. I'm goofing off with my illustrations now. I make fun of myself a little bit even in my descriptions because it's like I'm learning and I'm having fun. As I get more serious, I'm only really interested in one thing:
Yeah.
am I getting better? Because I have an ego, and sometimes I do read it. And even now, when I read something that I know is absolutely 100% correct, it's like, ah. But after I breathe again, all right,
Good.
after I breathe again,
Mhm.
I look at it and I'm very critical. It's like, what can I use? How can I get better? If I'm in the business of telling stories for a living, that's my ultimate goal. I'm gonna have to have a thick skin. I'm in the rejection business. That's how I've looked
Good.
at it, and it's a very and that's how I'm treating this. I don't care if you like it or hate it. You tell me I shouldn't be here, fuck you. But that's another thing altogether, right? Right. But but if you're telling me something that's going to make me better,
Yeah.
then I'm going to take it because honestly, that's my goal. My goal is to get better. One
Yes.
person
That
was
that is your
so
goal, and that should
yeah
only be your goal.
yeah
And be objective on your about your own work. It's hard to do. It was hard for me to do for a bit. It's still a little bit difficult, but
for sure.
be objective about your own work. Be objective about it. That's why I kind of like show it to a lot of people. And
Mhm.
it's just like when I get that one that says there's a couple of things here and there that really need to be fixed, I'm all over that because I'm like, oh, really? Please tell me. What do I have to do? And it's just like, it sets the brain up. It's like, yes, I'm going to learn again. And you will learn just as quickly, if not quicker.
Yeah.
Because if you have a thick skin like that, you'll be able to keep your composure and thereby pay attention to the person who's trying to give you the advice.
The only thing I've learned about myself is if it's by email, give myself
Hmm.
a day. Give myself one. I've learned this lesson the hard way. Give
Okay.
myself a day before I respond. Because it's like, because in that moment, like it can hurt. And I'm a
Yeah.
big enough man to not, it's like, oh God, is it hurt?
Yeah, and you
But
want to tell them it's like, oh, I'm gonna kill you now that you said such horrible things to me in an email. You will die, but you're like, oh, I gotta calm down a little bit. Yeah,
yeah,
and
no,
that's a good idea.
I've learned this lesson the hard way. I have right. This is the lesson I've learned the hard way. But I've learned, but I have learned this. Like, do you want to get better, or do you want to appease your ego? Right?
Yeah.
And the answer is I want to get better.
Oh yeah.
If I must appease my ego, I'll take the an international best-selling author gave me the best advice about ego, and I've kept it. I've kept it in my head. Never stroke it in public. And it's actually, I think that is the best advice I've ever heard about ego. Never stroke it in public. He goes, I do it all the time. He's an international best-selling author. He's got every reason to have the biggest ego in the world. And he goes, I am smart enough though, and he told me this. We were having a drink at a conference. He goes, I stroke it all the time. I'm going to tell you, it's like straight up. I do it all the time. I never do it in public. Ever,
Yeah.
ever,
Don't ever
ever,
do it in
ever,
public.
ever. Because that will kill you. He says,
Yeah.
but
I don't. I
in
mean, I
private,
have a little bit today, but every once in a while I do that because I will admit, my discipline is not quite as keen as some, and there's times when not now because for me it's like it's 2:30 in the morning, and I
you
like
don't
to
give a
think that
fuck
my
right now.
audience is now British, so it's like, well, they're all fucking asleep, so I don't care. But it's like there are times when I do toot my own horn, and
Sure.
after I rein it in after I do it, and I try, and I what I do usually is instead of like saying how good I am, I whatever it is, I throw the self-depreciating humor at myself because A, I deserve it, and B, it's like I'd rather keep myself that way because if I ever get to that point where I'm arrogant or I really think that I'm the greatest ever, that means I stop learning. And if you stop learning, you might as well just stop altogether because what's the point in learning how to do things and creating and getting better all the time if you really think you don't need to do it? And Uh,
So,
my friend, on that note, I'm getting tired.
no. It is.
We'll in the morning.
We'll call a night. Saturday we'll do the drawing. All right. Saturday we'll do the
Yes,
drawing.
I will definitely
Saturday,
do the
yeah,
drawing
yeah,
Saturday. With
yeah.
we're doing it Saturday. I thought we were going to do something Friday. It's not
No,
Friday or
no.
Saturday.
It's Saturday. It's Saturday.
All right, let me know the time just to be sure. And I want to talk to you for a few minutes after we get out of this thing.
Sure. Let me wrap up. So, guys, this was a little impromptu tonight. This is Rich Perotta.
Yep.
He writes this really great book called The Incantesi. He's got a Kickstarter coming up. I might have something to do with it. We kind of mentioned the beans a little earlier about that. I'll probably be saying something about that tomorrow to everybody else. But for the time being, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. You can subscribe. You can subscribe to the podcast on Twitch, twitch.tv/justjoshing podcast. My followers keep growing, and I'm really appreciative of that. My YouTube channel is Joshua Pantellaresco. Stay inspired, everybody. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Not tomorrow, but Thursday. And Rich will be back here, and we're going to be drawing some cool stuff. I'm probably going to be drawing Dr. Doom. I'm just going to let people know out front. It's going to be Dr. Doom for me. And Rich will be drawing whatever he chooses to draw. All right, guys.
Well, why don't you pick for me and I'll do it?
All right.
Pick for me and I'll do it.
All right, we'll do it. All right. On that note, stay inspired. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
All right. Good night, everybody. Good night.
And